So first of all, because before we will head to discussion about features, we have to discuss a little bit about deployment models. Xopero One can be provided in two different models. The first one is a SaaS and another is on-premise. In case of SaaS deployment, entire Xopero One management service is running directly in our cloud, in cloud provided by Xopero software. So in this case, the customer doesn't need to set up anything in place as long as he doesn't want to protect, of course, his some physical environments or virtual ones. With SaaS deployment, we also provide to the customer Cloud Worker. This is our agent running directly in the cloud, which we can use to back up data from SaaS applications. So with SaaS deployment of Xopero One and with Microsoft 365 backup or with Git repository backup, we can talk about cloud-to-cloud backup with no need of installation anything at customer's infrastructure because there is also Xopero Cloud Storage provided as well. And with SaaS installation, what else you have to know is its location. For the customers from Europe, from EMEA region, we provide services from Poland. So location of the management service is here in Poland. For the customers from other parts of the world, we've got also available US region. So if there are some customers, for example, from United States or from South America, we can easily start for them the management service running directly in the US. With on-premise installation, we can provide almost the same features or even exactly the same features as with SaaS installation, but the main difference is that everything is set up at customers' infrastructure. By on-premise installation, we also mean installation in some public clouds environments like AWS or Azure. We provide installers, native installers for Windows and Linux operating systems for Xopero One management service because this is the main and the first part of our system that should be deployed. On-premise installators on-premise model is also provided through a Docker containers. So in case if there is any, for example, even NAS device or maybe some Linux system or maybe some Kubernetes service, you can use our Docker containers also to easily deploy Xopero One there. And for on-premise installation, obviously, we do not provide Cloud Worker because it's not set up in the cloud directly, but there is also place for a local worker, which is the agent installed exactly on the same machine as Xopero One management service. And thanks to it, we can, for example, make some local backups or some additional operations that requires agent to be available. What else you have to know about on-premise installation is its licensing. But I'm not going to talk about how to choose the license for on-premise installation because it's exactly the same as for SaaS. But what you have to know is communication with the licensing server. Each on-premise installation, each management service installed locally must be able to connect to the internet at least every 3 days because every day Xopero One is going to check whether the customer license is valid or not, and it's able to run without checking this information up to 3 days. So if we are talking about some installation and deployment in DMZs, for example, you will have to provide somehow access for the management service to the internet every 3 days to check the license if it's valid or not. And of course, about let me just back to this slide about the features provided in two different deployment models. Of course, they are the same. So both in SaaS and on-premise, we can protect some local resources like computers, servers, like virtual environment we've got set up locally. But also both of them provides, for example, support for Microsoft 365 for GitHub or for Bitbucket, as well as for cloud storages. So the management and the possibilities are exactly the same. So now let me take you closer to our protection and features, maybe not the features but resources we can protect. First of all, we can protect physical environments. Computers, servers, endpoints, all those machines are protected by Xopero One. We provide native agents for Windows, Linux, and macOS operating systems. So from those three different kinds of operating system, we can easily protect the data. From Windows, we can make backups on a file and image level. Linux and macOS provides only file level backups. Moreover, with each kind of backup, we can use pre and post backup scripts. So from each supported operating system, for example, we can backup Microsoft SQL or MySQL databases because there are also predefined scripts to support them. And as we are talking about physical environments, mobile devices we have also treat somehow as physical environments. Then we are going to provide support for Android and iOS application in Xopero One as well. I think it should happen in this year. Then we've got Microsoft 365 ecosystem. It's that first SaaS application supported by Xopero One and in general by Xopero because our previous products mm, don't support any SaaS application. If we are talking about Microsoft 365, Xopero One is focused especially on those user-related data like Outlook, like Outlook, so all customers' emails, contacts, and calendars are protected, as well as all files from OneDrive. At this moment, there is no support for Teams and SharePoint, but I hope in this year we will be also provide at least support for SharePoint. And then there are virtual environments, and at the end we will talk about Git repositories. So with virtual environments, at this moment, Xopero One can protect especially VMware. We can protect VMware since 6.7 up to the newest one, and Xopero One requires VMware to be licensed. So we do not support the free version of VMware. We were able to protect all virtual machines that are running in selected VMware environment. Of course, we are talking about backup from a host level, so we do not need to install any agent inside the virtual machine, so the backups are made agentless. Moreover, Xopero One supports all the most advanced backup features from VMware and also advanced transport methods, like, for example, LAN-free backup, so we do not need to utilize virtual machines network interfaces. With Hyper-V and other virtual environments, we can also make backup of such virtual machines like Hyper-V, like KVM, and any other, but we have to do it from inside of the machine. So at this moment, there is no support for baking other virtual environments from a host level, but we can easily do it from the guest level. So we have to run our agent inside the virtual machine operating system, and thanks to it, we can treat that virtual machine as a physical one. So, for example, if you are running any Hyper-V virtual environment, you can run our agent in virtual machine operating system, protect entire drive image of such virtual machine, and after that, you will be able to restore this drive image in VHD or VHDX file format, and thanks to it, easily import or just restore this virtual machine directly to your Hyper-V environment. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about Git repositories. So if we are talking about Git repositories, at this moment, we can support three different ecosystems. It's GitHub, GitLab, and Bitbucket. GitLab is the newest one. It was added literally around 1 week ago to Xopero One, but in general, from each of those ecosystems, we can protect entire repository with all metadata and their assets, like, for example, issues, pull requests, comments, and CCD tasks if there are any, and a lot more data, like, for example, even I know users and their permissions to the repository. So everything what customer needs to keep their intellectual property safe and to make it also easily recoverable. Because, for example, in the case of GitHub outage, you can easily restore your data to Bitbucket or to GitLab. So in general, it's possible to make cross recovery between different Git ecosystems. And I think in details about Git backup, we will be able to talk in another training session as we talked before. Where do we store the data? As you know what we are able to protect, now it's worth to talk about the place where we can store them. In a single Xopero One instance, in single Xopero One deployment, you can use unlimited number of storages, so you can add as many of different storages as you need. The Xopero One supports some local storages to keep your data safe, like network locations available over SMB or NFS protocol. And what's important, those locations must be available for each agent which is writing data directly to that network resources. There's also support for local disk resources, so we can save data on each computer where our agent is running. For example, if there is customer who needs to protect his Microsoft 365 or his Git repositories and he's aware to sending data anywhere outside the company, one of the very efficient way to protect such resources is to install the agent on some selected computer and after that set up local storage on the same computer. Of course, if we can consider this computer as some kind of local backup server, because in that way, the agent will download the data, will grab the data directly from Microsoft 365 service, and after that, it won't send them anywhere else. Those data will be just saved and stored securely on this local computer. Of course, there is also support for some cloud storages provided in Xopero One, like Xopero Cloud Storage. This storage is provided together with Xopero One license, so it's licensed by Xopero software. We can provide our storage locate. We've got two different storage location. The first one for customers from EMEA region is Amsterdam in Netherlands. So we keep data in Europe. It may be important for the customers, especially in terms of GDPR. And there is also support from other public cloud providers like AWS S3 directly, so you can attach your S3 bucket to keep your data safe. But we also provide for any other S3 compliant provider. Okay, then we are going to talk about data security, about Xopero One management. How do we protect? We know that data security is very important for our customers, and that's why they choose to use the backup solution because they are aware of data security. So first of all, we designed the Xopero One architecture to have no single point of failure. What does it mean? Once backup is started, almost each component of the system, including Xopero One management service, may fail, and backup will be continued as long as the agent and the storage are available. So this gives you guarantee that we are doing everything to complete the customer's backup successfully. And as it was mentioned before, the management service, it doesn't take part in data transfer. Later, we will talk a little bit more about the architecture of our solution. So I will show you how exactly traffic goes. But in terms of security, we have to talk about zero knowledge encryption. Our first product many years ago encrypts the data using AES algorithm, and still we are using exactly the same algorithm because it's unbreakable. We encrypt the data on source, or just to be exact, on the agent. Their data encrypted. The customer, the user, can provide his own encryption key, or just to be exact, the password phrase based on which the encryption key will be created. You are able to choose the encryption key length, so how well your data will be secured. And why it's zero knowledge encryption? Because all the encryption keys are stored directly in the secure password manager, which is a part of the management service. And once the backup is triggered, management service sends to the agent the backup request with all necessary information, including the encryption key. So once the agent completes the backup, it erases all information that he gets from the management service, including also the encryption key. So it's erased from the agent, it's not stored on the data storage, and the only place where you can find the encryption key is our secure password manager. And of course, no one except the customer who has access to the encryption key is able to restore the data. And as I mentioned about the secure password manager, we have to talk about it in details. So the secure password manager is a part of Xopero One. It's built in password manager we use to store the passwords that are necessary to be used by our backup system. Like for example mentioned encryption keys, but also in the secure password manager you can find for example all secrets that are necessary to access to the storages you've added to Xopero One. So for example, if you are going to use Xopero One with some SMB shares, you have to keep the password in the secure password manager. Thanks to it, the password is sent to the agent only for a backup time or restore, and after that the password is removed from the agent as well. And thanks to it we can improve the data security. So I think that's all about the security. So now let's talk about the data restoration, how we can restore the data. We used to say that Xopero One has any-to-any restore capability, what means that we are able to recover almost each kind of data protected to each place available in Xopero One. So it's not a big deal to recover your Microsoft 365 mailbox directly to some physical computers, as you don't want to recover those data directly to the cloud. You can restore your virtual machine directly to virtual environments, but also as some files to the computers. And pretty similar we can do, for example, with a drive image, which you can also convert to any common format. File level restore, I think it's obvious, but it's worth to mention that you can also restore single files directly from the drive image, literally seconds after the backup is completed, even if it was encrypted. We provide remote independent restore feature, which is bare metal recovery. But why it's remote independent restore? Because you can restore your drive image backup directly to any hardware that may be completely different than the source one. It may have different CPU, different motherboard, and anything else. The only requirements from Xopero One about the hardware is hard drive size. It must be equal or greater than on the source machine. And what's very important, you can set up entire recovery process remotely. The only step that must be done physically in place is to boot up the computer using provided ISO image, but after that, entire configuration of the bare metal restore process is made through Xopero One management service, and it's something new in Xopero One. Literally, also around 1 or 2 weeks ago, it was released to the market. We provide you flexible drive restore. So once you will make drive image backup, you can restore this drive image in few common formats, like for example RAW, which is pure format of drive image, but you can also restore this drive image under VHD or VHDX file format and use it directly in Windows operating system, or for example create Hyper-V virtual machine based on those drive images. Or for example, you can restore it as VMDK file and you can easily import it to the VMware virtual environment. There is also granular recovery provided. So I've mentioned already that it's possible to access the single files from drive image backup, but you can also, for example, in case of Microsoft 365 backup, restore some particular emails selected directly from user's mailbox. And now we will talk closer about technical details. So we will go deeper into the technicals. And first of all, we have to explain the architecture of Xopero One. The main component of Xopero One system is Xopero One management service. It's responsible for manage backup, restore tasks, and other activities that are made in our entire system by the agents. But what's very important and what you should remember about Xopero One is that our management service never takes part in the data transfer. So we never send any part of customers' data to the management service. Another component of our system is the agent. So about the agents, I said a lot before, but just to clarify, the agent is application responsible for backup, restore, and other operations on the customer's data. And at the end, we've got the storage, which is the location for your data. So we can find out there are three different components in Xopero One architecture. And entire communication between management service and agent is realized over HTTP or HTTPS, depends on the customer configuration. With SaaS deployment, of course, we do require to use HTTPS connection. With on-premise installation, to set up HTTPS, customer can use his own SSL certificate. Then communication between agent and storage depends on the storage kind is realized over HTTPS, SMB, or NFS protocol. And as I said, it just depends on the storage used. We can also use HTTP protocol, and just to give you the overview and let you know, we can also set up some local S3 buckets using Minio. This is the software used to set up locally S3 containers, S3 buckets, and we can also use it with Xopero One. And sometimes with the storage, our customer decide to use HTTP instead of HTTPS because all traffic is made in local network, not outside the network. But if we will take a look at the slide, how does it look, for example, to run a backup task? Xopero One management service has included the scheduler for backup tasks. So once there is time to schedule the backup, it sends the backup task request over HTTPS directly to the agent. In this task, there are information about data that should be included into backup, about last copy done, and also information about the storage and access details. Once agent gets those information, it starts the backup tasks and writes the data directly to the storage. to Xopero One management service, there are reported information about the task progress, and that's all. Pretty similar situation we've got once the restore task is scheduled. So the customer who finds some files, for example, to restore, triggers the restore task, and the restore task's request is sent directly to the agent. Agent is accessing the storage and taking those data directly and recovering to the selected location. Moreover, even if we would like to check what files, for example, we've got in our backup, in our copy, to browse the copy, we have also to use the agent. So Xopero One Management Service will send the request to the agent to browse selected part of the storage, and once the agent accesses the storage, fetches all informations from there, will send them directly to Xopero One Management Service. That's how Xopero One communication works and architecture looks like. For One Management Service, I think I said a lot today, but what you have to know in just a few words. It's available as a web console directly over your web browser, so you don't need to install anything else, any additional application to manage your backup environment. It stores backup plans, which are backup policies. They determine what data, when, how often, and where should be backed up. It's responsible also for agent and storage management. So literally, as its name points, it's responsible for managing the backup infrastructure. There is also the backup agent. It's divided also into workers, but we've discussed it before. Just to remind, backup agent is the application installed on the computers we are going to protect or we are going to use to protect some external data. But in this case, we are talking about the workers, because the workers is nothing else that agent installed on some computers or running in cloud instance used to back up some external data like Microsoft 365 service or JIT repositories. Support for local directories that are placed on the same computers where our agents are installed, and we also provide support for cloud for cloud storages like AWS S3, and you can attach buckets directly from S3 and from AWS S3 or from any other S3 compliant provider like Wasabi, like Alibaba Cloud. And there is also Xopero Cloud Storage, which is attached to the customer's infrastructure directly with the license.